Oh shit! Are we doing this again?
Oh man, you couldn't find anybody else, could you? Really scraping the bottom of that
bottom of the barrel. Yeah, the bottom of the barrel is where the good stuff is, though. That's where all the flavor is.
Is that how it works in whiskey and pickling or whatever?
I don't know. I just made that up, but it sounds good. It sounds good. Welcome back to the Super Design Bowl. Aaron, you might not know this, but the Super Design Bowl was like off for like 2 years. The video show. I wasn't doing it.
I'm aware.
Yeah. Oh. And then this guy Trevor came back, decided you should keep doing this, and I said, okay, but only if you do all the work. And then I realized I was sick and tired of asking designers about their stupid logos. And so I said to myself, wouldn't it be more fun to just rip on these logos without them there so we can say whatever we want to say about them, and then they can be pissed that they did all this free work for us and all we did was talk shit about them? Yes, that does sound like a good idea.
Nature's order and whatnot. I'm huge fan of the approach.
So we're going to go through a bunch of logos today and maybe even talk about some other shit.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it. But before we begin, I want to introduce Matt Dawson is joining us from. This is the trifecta of bad graphic design studio names.
It really is.
It really is. No offense, Pants.
The holy trinity of does not play well with others, right? Yeah. For sure.
If you're watching this right now, comment down below, rank us, right? Who's got the worst, the second worst, and the least worst?
Fuck, marry, kill design edition.
Yes. Excellent. Thanks for joining me, fellas. Do you have anything that you need to announce? How's that bar going, Pants?
Yeah, I mean, I got tons of shit going on. Bar's going great. It's swallowed my life whole, professionally and personally, but it's a good thing. For those that don't know,
does that make money? Is that a money operation? Are you making money?
Yeah, it's not like, listen, Amazon.com. It's not, but I have a ton of help and I have an infrastructure around me. It's a moneymaker because it's a shot in a beer bar. And for those that don't know, it's called Old 86. We just opened on the near west side of Cleveland. And it's basically like a real life John Wick villain bar, and it's going good. It's been open 3 months, so it's making money. We're doing good numbers.
Cool. It's pretty wild too. What kind of is it scary? You have to put up a lot of capital to open a bar,
so to speak. I mean, again, the concept's very lean. We did invest a ton of money in design and build out and stuff for what it is. But again, my business partner in it, who's co-owner as well. Yeah. This is his 5th bar he's opened. It's not his first.
Oh, okay, so he's been around the block. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. We didn't break the bank on it, and more importantly, it's like anything else where it's like, does it generate millions of dollars a month? No, but it's also not spending that amount to stay open. So
yeah, that sounds pretty great.
It's basically a beta tester for some other things we want to do in terms of the approach business wise.
Cool. I have nothing to do.
You got to open a bar pretty soon, Billy.
This makes me no money. How's your bar going, Matt?
I do not own a bar. I own a design conference that makes me zero money. It still swallows my life whole and consumes every bit of my being, and I dump money into it. So, I mean, one out of the 3 of us is doing it right, and I don't think it's you or I, Billy.
No, it's none of us. We're all making zero money doing fun stuff. But yeah, I think that's what brought us all here together.
Speaking of doing things all wrong, what do you guys think of this logo? The FIBA 2023 World Cup. That's the World Cup of basketball. I've been watching the highlights for these basketball games, and this logo is.
This is definitely the first time I've seen this.
It's pretty wild.
This is the first time I've even heard of FIBA.
Well, there's FIFA, right? That's football.
Yeah.
World Cup.
Yeah.
FIBA does the basketball World Cup.
FIBA sounds like one of those PlayStation games you'd find at Big Lots. And you get it for your kid, and they're like, "No, man, I wanted FIFA." I'm like, well, you got FIBA.
Great value video game.
I think not only is there a lot going on in this stuff, it's maybe the least basketball-y logo I've ever seen.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's literally not a thing. If you didn't accompany it with type and you asked what is this for, sports is the furthest thing I would have guessed. Which is not it's terrible, but man, this is a lot. I don't know how I feel about this.
I would think it was a logo for someone who is turning 23 and loves candelabras.
I don't think I'm topping Matt's take on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of drop shadowing going on in this logo too. They're really trying to get.
There's like some hearts. It feels like the wind's blowing.
Yeah. This feels like a logo that looked really cool in your sketchbook. You know what I'm saying? It's like this, like you're kind of playing around with shapes and stuff like that. You're like, oh, this is cool. This will look great.
I feel like when it comes to the Olympics and like international sport logos in general, we always end up with these marks that are just too baffling to even critique, you know?
Yeah.
Which, you know, is not to say I love the thing, but man, are you going to play the video here?
Yeah, I was like, well, maybe it comes alive in the execution. Maybe we gotta get into the 2023 and let's see how this looks in action.
I'm feeling like cruise line vibes from this whole thing right now. Okay, now it's a dating show. Don't miss a beat. What is the romance vibes about this thing? Do people fall in love on the court? Like,
I think it's. I read quickly. There's something about millions of hearts beating as one.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to play in the hearts and the beat of the basketball, right? Who knows? That sounds like a copyright line that you wrote after someone sketched up the logo. Like I'm gonna do this logo, and then like, oh, you know what makes sense here? Heart beats, basketball beats. Let's put them together.
It's just like real strong dating reality show vibes I'm getting from all the branding on this is what I'm still taking away from it after looking.
Honestly, it looks like a logo that Russia looks like a Russian logo to me, even though it's Philippines, Japan.
The motion was nice. The motion in that video had some.
Yeah,
I
think
stuff.
the motion company was different than the logo company. They're given this logo and they're like, dude, make something.
Like the FIBA logo is nice, you know.
This part?
Yeah, it's pretty inoffensive. I at least get like a vibe of like if I just saw that isolated, I go, okay, I kind of have an idea what we're after here, somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of works in the banner kind of thing.
I like that better than the logo, like that stuff. I don't mind. I feel like beveling and like skeuomorphism is kind of becoming. We're getting tired of flat. We're getting back to that stuff again. So,
yeah, that's an interesting. That's a hot take.
I don't know
if I'm seeing. I don't know if I agree with that, or I'm not saying I disagree with that, but maybe I haven't been seeing it. Have you been seeing more?
I think, maybe it's from my standpoint. Like I feel like as much as like good solid design doesn't need effects, I feel like people are getting bored en masse with it, and we're getting back to some shadowing and beveling and that texturing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But feel free to jump in.
No, I kind of agree with you. A buddy of mine, Foogstrader, he does a lot of layered, textured shadow highlights.
I like his stuff
work
before he has the shadows.
I like his stuff in all incarnations. I think what I really like is how he kind of shows the process of it, and you can see it in those various states. But I mean, like his stuff is blown up. He's got a lot of people that look to emulate that style. So like I'm seeing a lot of it there. But he's also a close friend, so maybe I'm a little closer to it than the design umbrella as a whole.
Well, that was interesting. Okay, let's talk about the Washington Capitals.
Speaking of beveling,
holy shit, Gerald Flatch versus Tim Frame. Tim Frame, that's a good name.
Tim's a good dude. Not to sound immediately biased. I know Tim.
You know Tim.
Yep.
Where's Tim fighting out
of? Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, well, that's a
I believe. Yeah.
So Tim epically lost this challenge.
Huh.
Damn, that is an epic. Wow. What was that vote count?
I kind of don't even want to show it. It feels bad, but
yeah.
Oh, no, I can see it. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Billy.
Oh, I was just going to introduce this logo.
Yes.
It's the Washington Capitals. It's a really sturdy logo. Kind of has a early 2000s Super Bowl vibe. If I was going to categorize it with the beveling and the warp and the distort and everything, I think what was really interesting is he added the Eastern Conference on there, which I think immediately turns it into more of a merch, like a T-shirt design, because I don't think you would ever put Eastern Conference on your primary logo.
No. It gets strong 90s NHL All-Star jersey vibes with that Capitals lettering, but that beveling alone, I think, earned it more than 6 votes. I don't know if I love the whole thing altogether, but the Capitals word mark is real strong. Like, I don't mind that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even begin to think of how to do that level of beveling in detail. Mostly because I'm lazy, and that looks like it took a lot of work. I would spend 5 hours trying to find that effect somewhere instead of spending 5 hours trying to do that effect.
Really, it's actually really easy to do.
Is it? All right. Well, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
I'll give you a tutorial later.
I'm gonna have to sign up for your OnlyFans, Billy. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely feeling more like event vibe with this. Like it feels like an all-star game or something along those lines. But I do like the Capitals type a lot.
Yeah, the Capitals type is good. I think I have some issues with some of the minor details, which I'll discuss right now. So, like, if I was making this logo, so you get the C, you get this side, it's real nice. You get some cursor, and then I would just mirror that over here, right?
Wow.
Instead of making this jig jag with the little blue, you get this little tiny blue dot peeking out right here. And I don't know what. If it were me, I would just clean it up and have it be symmetrical on both sides.
I could live with that. What I can't live with is just the DC mark underneath and the Eastern Conference and the Washington, and it all just does not need to happen. If that Capitals was alone, and even with that notch on the S, I could live with that. But I agree with you. It should, if we're really getting nitty-gritty, which we are, you just straighten that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a couple of like there's a stroke on the DC, and that doesn't seem to rhyme with anything else in the logo. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put a stroke on this, and it's like, well, there's a stroke nowhere else.
I just don't love the treatment of that in general too. Like, I think DC is like so much cooler than saying Washington when you have these sports teams in Washington DC.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't love that sort of, as the solution for what fits in that gap.
Yeah, I wonder if you could make this thing. Sorry to interrupt you. I mean, if it was a hockey disc.
Tell me you're an English football fan.
A hockey puck, right? Because it's almost a hockey puck shape. I feel like you could turn it into a flat.
Sure.
I'd love to see you walk into a Dick's Sporting Good and ask where they keep their hockey discs.
I mean, yeah, I Capitals, the word mark alone is what makes this whole thing sing. And that on its own, I think if it was just the Capitals, I think it would have done better against the other mark.
Yeah,
Same.
I think so. It's tough when you're dealing with, when you have like the Cougars or the Tigers or the Lions, like, you really have a lot to play with. When it's the Capitals, you got red, white, and blue, and some stars. You know what I mean? It's really hard to kind of like land on.
Why is it Capitals with an A instead of an O?
That's a great question. Because it is spelled. That's how it's spelled The team is spelled that way.
The team is spelled that way for sure, and I know they're kind of leaning into like the fact that it is the Capitol.
Yeah,
but it's strange.
Great question.
I just noticed that.
Yeah.
No, I took a quick look before the podcast, and that beveling again, to go back to it, just in the chiseling on that is just so fucking sharp. I think it deserved a better score than it got, but then again, that's democracy spoke on this one. So
the problem, I think, is this is just a really strong mark to me.
Yeah, no argument there. I think it's fun. I think it's very simple. I think if I didn't know what this was for, I would be able to guess it's some sort of patriotic Washington team.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like it has a little bit of Eagle vibes from the Muppets going
Sam
on.
the Eagle is exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
and it has a lot of Whalers kind of vibe-esque to it, which is not an insult in any way.
Mm-hmm.
The highest praise you could give a fucking logo, really.
Yeah. I dig it. The Eagle is not like maybe the most. Maybe you could angle his eye a little bit, so he's like a little meaner looking.
If I'm taking the sticks on it, what I'm changing about it is the detailing on those wings on the right and left side.
Well,
yep.
I like how he repeated the shape with the beak to the wing. It's the same.
I don't mind it. There's something I think you could get away with just having those wings without the notching, and you could just have. I like the real somber Sam the Eagle vibe. Like this is giving me like a 1970s newscast, news channel logo vibe, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There is something about it that feels a little retro, and it's curious that
in a good way, though.
Yep. No, yeah, I totally in a good way. Like, I mean, I almost exclusively prefer older 70s, 80s logos than anything modern. What's funny is the kind of soft take on this. Like, everything feels just really soft versus typical sports branding being like really like aggro. And I think this is a nice take on that.
Which I agree with Matt. That anytime I see anyone try anything outside of the usual in your face Under Armour aggro approach, I at least respect it. So
yeah, that's cool.
Speaking of Under Armour, side question for you, Pants.
Yes.
I went to a birthday party and all it was cops and firefighters, and they love their Under Armour. What do you know about that? They all had Under Armour on.
I mean, I've not worked in either line of work for that. I think.
I thought your dad was a cop. Is he big Under Armour?
I mean, I think cops specifically like wearing tactical feeling gear.
Yeah.
And then most cops are also dads. So like dads don't care about looking cool. So then they just end up wearing Under Armour shit.
I mean, that's why you got to go to the New Balance, but Under Armour is like New Balance, but like New Lives Matter New Balance.
New Balance even kind of hipped their shit up. Like younger people dig New Balance now. Under Armour to me is like, unless you're buying just the underwear and you're sort of repping it as a brand, you're like a dad. Like
but you're a dad that's packing.
Yeah, sure.
Or
you're on a fire hose. Either way. Either way.
I think I like Gerald's logo better than you guys, so whatever.
Do we have to pick the other one because you like Gerald's better?
What? No, I'm just saying I think I appreciate this logo more than you guys do.
No, I dig.
Listen, that's fine. You guys can have bad opinions. I think it deserved the landslide victory. No offense to Tim. Good opinion, designer, obviously.
All due respect to Tim, who's a wonderful designer, great dude. I think Gerald deserved to win. I think Tim deserved more than 6 votes on this. That's just my opinion.
You probably deserve more than 6 votes. Maybe if you're such good friends with him, you should have voted for him.
I don't participate in politics, Billy, or voting in America. So there's that.
Apparently, a lot of other people also don't like to vote in the Super Design Bowl. Let's go to the next challenge.
Dude, let's fucking get into this one.
Okay. Minute. Can you pronounce the name on that one?
Menachem.
I'm really Menachem.
Yeah, I think it's Menachem.
Yeah,
Menachem. That's how you spell Menachem. I never knew that. Wow, learning stuff every day.
I'm assuming
Listen, I'm from
assuming
Missouri.
he's
I
one
don't
of my
know.
people, so I'm okay to let the phlegm fly on Menachem.
Thank you. Wine Reb.
Well, Matt, you're one of my people too, aren't you?
No, I just get mistaken for one of them. I think we had this conversation. We had this conversation back in April.
That's right.
Yeah, you were telling me about your heritage, and I was like, man, like I've got a lot of Jewish friends, and everyone always thinks that like I'm Jewish. Like, it's like, but
I would get that too when I first met Ann's. Maybe I shouldn't say the story. When I first met Ann's family, my wife's extended family years ago, they asked me if I was Jewish. Her uncle asked me if I was Jewish 3 times because they're like from the Middle East and they have real issues. And so they really wanted to make sure that I wasn't Jewish. And I was like, would it matter if I was? Yeah, it was a little weird.
And everyone always mistakes me as such, but I do have a couple of really good Jewish friends, and I've learned a lot about Judaism just in the past year, and like it's kind of fascinating. I'm kind of sad that I grew up, in a different.
I went to a Jewish wedding a couple of years ago, and I was like, man, this is kind of wish I was Jewish. I kind of like this club over here.
Yeah, it's we do that right.
Yeah, I liked it.
We get down at
the vibes are good there, man. I appreciate it. Okay, versus Big Shot Robot, and I'm sorry, Big Shot. I can't remember what your real name is, but that's okay. You wanted me to put Big Shot Robot.
You wanted to be a Big Shot.
Yeah, so Big Shot lost, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say,
what the fuck?
I preferred this logo.
This is all the things that I have because this was the thing I liked best out of anything I looked at before I jumped on.
Yeah.
This thing fucking screamed at me. I thought I fucking love this.
Yeah, this thing is badass. The mark, the type.
This passes the t-shirt test for sure.
I mean, there's just no fat on this thing whatsoever. Even like the detail from the K to the E, like it's just enough.
That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
The whole thing's fun. It's very mischievous. Again, back to Matt's point earlier, it's not trying to be fucking hard or aggressive, which is with the actual Duke Blue Devils logo. What I love about that one, like it's fun.
I believe the actual mascot that is at the games looks a lot like that.
Yeah, it looks like a mid-century cartoonish.
Yeah, this could work in a lot of ways too. You could do a side-by-side on it really easy. You could put them in a circle if you wanted to type it all out. Duke Blue Devils.
I'm fucking floored this loss, to be very honest with you.
Well, sometimes people get their Grammys and their aunts and uncles to vote, and it comes down to who's more popular. Matt knows that. It comes down to who's more popular, considering Matt won his contest.
I don't know about all that.
No, you did win.
Oh, I know I won, but I think I think I won on my own merits.
You're like a nepo baby.
Saying.
You're like
Matt doesn't fuck around, man. Matt is tip of the sword with whatever he does. So yeah, that's not a nepo thing. I know we're busting balls here.
Balls. Yeah.
Yeah, you
think I'd have on some schmucks to review logos with me? Come on, you guys are heavy hitters.
Thanks.
Yeah, when we looked at the Washington logo, that had sort of a retro vibe because you smooth out all the corners, and this is even further smoothing of the cornerage, right? It's so funny because I remember Illustrator before CC, before they had rounded corners. That you could do in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And creating whole typefaces where I had to copy and paste my corner.
Yeah, you're going in and freaking.
Yeah, and then use the divide filter and manually do all the corners. But since they have that, makes it so easy now.
I think I think also, like, I'm sure Matt's probably at the same point of his career as I am, where, like, I fucking only want to look at logos that were made before digital technology was a thing. And this has that quality to it where, like, I could believe this was drawn out by hand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Test with me about shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of, this is a great time for a commercial because trademark tees at Threadless. Where's it? God damn it! It's not going to come up. Are you familiar with my website?
I own a couple.
Oh yeah, it's not coming up. God damn it! Because I haven't been there in literally.
No, I bought some like a few years ago.
Yeah. Trademark tees on Threadless. You can find it. I can't even find it myself, which is really sad. Maybe I shouldn't have given it a fucking generic name. But go to Trademark Tees on Threadless shop, and I've scanned in hundreds of mid-century antique logos that I've just ripped off, and you can get it printed on a t-shirt.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. That's an ad. That's the first ever ad on Super Design Bullet. Okay.
Way into that.
Menachem. Let's talk about Menachem's logo. I can go first if you guys like. I like a lot about the logo. There's some details that it just needs a finessing on a lot of details.
There's certainly a ton to love about this thing.
Yeah.
Like I like the navy on the powder on the baby blue. Like, I think if there's anything that costs it the win to me is that it reads Luke, not Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And just stylistically, I just really like Big Shot Robots better, the overall approach than this. But this is very nice. Like there's not mad.
Yeah, I feel like this would make a great apparel piece. But yeah, I mean, like it's got a lot of playfulness. It's got a lot of really good moves, illustration wise. I mean, I couldn't illustrate this if I wanted to. But yeah, I agree on the type that the swoosh on the D is a little interesting, especially like if you really look at it and like you probably would have had room for a uppercase D.
100%
here, just in the you can't see where I'm moving my mouse, but
yeah, that might have worked.
But still some good moves.
It wouldn't have cost the silhouette of the illustration anything to make that an uppercase.
Yep, if you would have put the D in there, then you wouldn't have had this weird having to make that concession for the overlap.
Yeah,
the little demon guy. Yeah, for me, there just needs to be a round of refinement on some of the details. Like, so when you're looking at this hand, right? So this is a illustrator stroke, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get down to here, it has these hard, which is what your stroke will do if you don't have rounded edges on.
Yeah, I need
clicked on. What's that?
The OCD vector guy, needs points on the.
Yeah, make points. Make this line not mono.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything in your illustration's got thick to thins, thick to thins, thick to thins.
That's right? The only thing besides the lowercase d that I would really hold to the fire, pun not intended, is I would have put points on those.
Yeah. And even some of the curves on the flame, like this curve kind of flattens out in a sort of weird way. This hand, I think these fingers are actually supposed to be in front of chopped off.
That and they're not, I don't want to tear this thing to pieces because I do like it, but
no, I'm not. The harsh critique is for the heads. You know what I'm saying? Like for people that really want to kind of learn about design in a way, I guess, or execution.
It's just like with hands, especially when you get this simple and cartoonish with it, there needs to be consistency between how the fingers are and the hands are treated.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do uniform knuckles on the devil's left hand, it shouldn't have the bowed out balloony shapes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah, I like a lot of what's going on here. I wonder, it would have been nice if like you could have tied in, if he was going to stick with the lowercase d, how could we make this part the tail? Maybe he or like he's coming out of the hole in that part of the D.
I love, dude, the fact that he's coming out of a hole, I think is really what I love most about this thing.
Yeah.
It is fun. Like again, it's
totally fun.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that if I don't have time or I don't want to fuck with it, like the details, like figuring out all these details, just like give the whole thing a roughen.
Like he's got the Mickey Mouse buttons on his whatever.
Yeah, I do like that.
Yeah, it's
But if you don't want to get stuck in the details, give everything a roughen, and then you're like, it's supposed to be roughed up, like it's supposed to be not fine tuned.
No, it's that is a consistent treatment of the whole thing. That's why I get why it won. But yeah,
it definitely has a more emotional content than the other one.
I get the itchiness. If you look at Big Shots, that to me is like a complete fucking finalized thought where I'm like, I got no notes for that one. But when I see this thing, maybe because stylistically Menachem's is a little more close to the way that I work, I was like, oh, if this is mine, I do this, this, and this. Yeah. That's where I come at in the spirit of that.
And not to get anal, but Duke would never do powder blue ever.
No.
To UNC.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, because Duke goes is white and blue, white and royal blue.
Yeah.
Are Blue Devils fans really called Dukies?
Yeah,
because that's fucking awful.
They're called Dukies.
Yeah, that sucks. Okay. I saw it in like your description, and I wasn't sure if it was a
well, that's kind of what the Blue Devils, but Dukies is sort of also what the fans are called.
I mean, you couldn't call them. Yeah, you couldn't call them Devil Nation. That sounds a little too. Sounds a little too problematic, I suppose.
Well, you can't do it in the South.
No.
Okay. Arizona Diamondbacks, Scott Fuller versus Trevor Botting. Trevor, full disclosure, Trevor is the fine fellow who bugged me about getting Super Design Bowl back up and running. So if you're out there getting an email, you're going to get it from Trevor. If you're emailing us, Trevor is going to read it. So take it easy on Trevor. Trevor unfortunately lost this match. Arizona Diamondbacks. Actually really like the concept behind Trevor's idea here of doing the snake scale pattern in a Arizona A. And it also has sort of a Southwest beaded sort of vibe to it as well.
Yeah, it has a Southwest palette.
Yeah, I think the only issue that I have is it just need to be simplified.
Yeah.
Can I put this through?
I like the overall idea for sure.
I really like the idea, but I think just simplification would have helped. Do we need shadows on all the scales? Do we need the extra bumps?
I think you could really, if you really went in and you cleaned up that outer burgundy silhouette or wine silhouette, and then you cleaned up some of these notches in the black stroke, and then you took away the shadows, it'd be super, super strong. I think it's strong as is, but you do not need 17 different colors in this thing.
Yeah, and how in the Duke one we looked at, or the Whalers one, and the corners were rounded out. If you did that here at the bottom, everything where it gets really sharp, and maybe you could just like simplify it. Like, imagine how does this work as a one color, right? Right. Work it as a one color, and then go in and add your blue and your maroon and stuff like that.
I mean, but this is doing a lot of things at once for as kind of simple as the idea is, though, right? Like, especially like the color palette. Like, I really fucking like it. Like, and you see the A, you see the diamond, and again, like I go back to those colors. Like, that's a super cool mark. And yeah, it's just a few tiny moves away from being a super, super something I wish the Diamondbacks would adopt.
I completely agree.
Same.
Scott Fuller from what's his agency called, Matt?
Studio Temporary.
Studio Temporary.
Which has been sticking around way too long with a name like that.
It's what? Should have called it quits after a couple months just to stick to the on stand.
Yeah. It's just
Not
seriously
very-
not punk rock.
Studio permanent.
Yeah, I mean, Matt,
studio permanent.
I met Scott fucking what, a decade ago at this point. Yeah, that's not temporary.
No,
Cosmically speaking, maybe.
Fucking liar.
Okay.
Okay.
My first note on this is I always kind of like in these particular competitions when someone blows the whole thing up and does a different thing altogether. Like, and my problem with not Scott's work, but this Diamondback head logo that the Diamondbacks currently use is it just has always looked like the most phallic fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
The current one?
Yeah, they have the current one they have is like a DB logo that's like modeled after like a snake's head, but all I see is dick and balls.
Yeah,
dick and balls.
Yes, you can see the DB logo kind of right there in the bottom row. Bottom. No, the one, there you go, that one.
Oh, they already have a DB logo.
Yeah,
right.
And I don't
think I've ever seen this DB logo. So that really, wrong page. So this is really just a redraw of something they already have.
Yeah, it's an update on that idea.
Yeah, it seems like
I thought that was just a
simplification of it.
I thought that was just a unique, clever idea from Scott.
I mean, I like the touches he made. I liked, the notches in there and the tongue and stuff. But it's just I can't get past when I saw it on uniforms when they first introduced it. I just go, that just looks fucking phallic to me. That's like an updated version of the original. The original one they had looked way more dick and balls to me. So really? They have a ton of like that snake head that's like got the ball in his mouth. Like that's all you need.
This one.
The one to the right of the DB.
This one.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm not mad at that.
It's a little Disney for me.
Yeah. I mean, but to me, baseball suffers from not having enough of that. It's become way too much tradition. In I guess in general, the Diamondbacks have like what feels like the newest, most modern set of stuff in the league. So
yeah,
I'm not mad at that.
I'm a purist. I like the old school shit.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball fan. I mean, I like. I appreciate like the classics, but to me, I like, and also the Diamondbacks. Not to just skew away from this whole thing, their nickname is the D-backs, and when I see it on the uniforms, all I see is D-bags.
Sure,
a lot of issues down there in the desert.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate nickname, much like Dookie's. But. Yeah, I mean, I as a simplification of something that already exists, I think this is a good simplification. It's funny, I see the exact same thing that you do, though, Pants. I could be graphic in what I see, but I'll save that for outside of the YouTubes.
Trust me, no kids are watching the show, and if they are, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Go outside, ride a bike or something.
Go learn to go be a plumber. Don't follow this. Terrible.
Seriously,
I like the move Scott made here because it looks less phallic. I like the three diamond shapes cut into the center of it. I'm not in love with the Arizona Diamondbacks word mark.
I like what he's trying to do with the A's.
Nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of like okay, it feels more arena football than Major League Baseball.
Yeah. So maybe it should. Yeah, I think it was an interesting exercise and a good attempt, and nothing really wrong with it.
No, I like the mark.
But I don't know if it passed. Yeah, I think the mark by itself is stronger. But like I said, I had no idea that they actually even have that.
Yeah. And that's not like that's I think it's good and fine. I mean, people have done that before in the competition, but whenever.
Oh no, I don't think it. I'm just to give it context. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I wonder if there was a.
Can you pan out to both of them side by side again? No, this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this particular competition. I mean, yeah, this one feels like it's a little evener than the other ones. if I had to pick one with the notes I had for Trevor's thing, I just based on him doing something completely different and so considered, you know.
I completely agree. I think it with some tweakage, I really like Trevor's concept. Strong. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, again, like if Scott would have just submitted the DB mark on its own, I think it would have been fucking real hard to pick.
Yep. I agree with that. Yeah. That's why, shout out to anybody that's going to be doing one of these competitions. Make it easier on yourself and just do like
just do the mark.
Yeah. If you're gonna throw
it's hard when you got to put all the letters in there.
If you're gonna throw the kitchen sink at it, you got to really consider every single fucking element of it.
Yeah, it's so much easier just to make a mark. This is such an interesting matchup because it's the same concept done two ways. It's so interesting. Chris Robinson versus Vincent Gabriel.
And this kind of score is also kind of interesting to me, but I'll let you take it away here.
Let me just ask you before, which one would you have voted for?
This is tough. I gotta go with the left because they've already fucking updated the Marlins logo since its inception. It feels like they updated like the Blue Jays logo every 3 years, and it's something drastically different. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know.
I think just like after looking at it for 2 seconds, Chris Robinson's version is just it's different than what I've seen the Marlins do. The general idea of the Marlin arcing through the letter form, that's just like they've been doing that. The team's been doing that since its inception.
Let's look up at the Marlins.
Formerly the Florida Marlins, now the Miami Marlins.
Oh, interesting.
So they had an F. The first version was that teal silver F with that Marlin shape.
You know what? I saw somebody wearing that old school F with the Marlin hat the other day, and I don't know if it was like a wave of nostalgia that hit me, but I was like, "That's pretty damn cool, actually." Because whenever they came out, the old school F with the Marlin in it, there's got to be something in here that has that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Google Florida Marlins hat. Yeah, Miami Marlins is probably gonna.
There you
go.
Yeah, you remember that, right?
The F logo,
like the most '90s looking hat of all time.
Yeah.
But I saw that hat the other day, and I was like, "That's actually a pretty cool fucking hat." Because I remember whenever the Marlins and the Rockies, expansion teams came out, and there's something charming about that old '90s one.
I hate it. It sucks.
Without getting too deep into it, what do you hate about it?
It's less about execution and more just about style.
Okay.
I don't know. Just
when these two teams, the Rockies and the Marlins, were introduced to MLB, I think I was in 7th grade, and I got the Colorado Rockies hat because I just really like the colors. And
I did too. I bought the Colorado Rocky hat too.
I thought purple and black was a sick colorway. And then looking back, I think if I had to pick again, I would pick the Florida Marlins over them. Even though I love purple and black. But yeah, the Marlins have been through a bunch of facelifts on this thing.
This is the current logo. This is, I find it to be pretty sharp. I don't love the overlay of Miami with it, but
I'm not particularly excited. Nothing about this excites me. Especially such a horny design forward city as Miami. Like the one they had before this felt way more Miami. The 2017 version.
It's pretty cool. I do appreciate where they turned the Marlin into really a graphic mark.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little dated feeling, but a cool attempt.
Mm-hmm.
In my books. So let's
go. I haven't had as many facelifts as I thought they had since the 90s, but whatever.
Still kind of feels like a lot though for a not that old of a team.
I agree.
Well, maybe it's easier to change a newer team because you get locked into
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no equity in it.
Yeah.
It's not like the Sox or the Yankees or something.
Yeah. I do like Chris's better. There's some issues with Chris's. There's some weird things going on with some of the shapes. I do like the fact, I don't know if you guys noticed this, the MIA that he put in.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a little weird that he's all angles and then his tail's coming out this way. So I just imagine someone broke the fish near the end.
I mean, there is a willing suspension of disbelief in the physics of a Marlin for this logo, but I think just the angularity of it, and it's very different from what the other Marlins logos I've seen.
I don't think you needed this little sliver of black right here.
No, and I would like to see
get rid of that.
I would like to see that tail differentiate itself from the point on the M more. That doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I would get rid of that tail altogether, or think about how to. It's a tough solve. What is this? How can I work a logo around just a straight Marlin? You know what I mean?
It is weird for a team that's as young as the Marlins, like they haven't existed for that long, that both these entries are very analogous to what the Marlins logos have been. There's not like a drastic departure from that.
Well, how would you? What else are you going to do with the fish? You know what I'm saying? It's tough.
I would. My first inclination with these challenges, if it's mine, is to do something that just is completely different, that has never existed for the team. Because then that way you're kind of only being judged. You're being judged in sort of a vacuum on what that logo is, and you're not getting judged against the equity of the team or anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I think I like the thickness of the line weights and everything, and it feels more logo-ish. And then when you go to Vincent's, it's getting a little too thin and fiddly.
I mean, I like the fin cutting off the curve in the M, and sort of separating the legs.
You do like that?
Yeah, I do.
It almost looks like an NI to me.
I mean, it looks weird coming out of his chin, but there's something that makes it interesting to separate that letter form, I think. I think that what I don't like about this is it just feels like, and there's nothing wrong with the execution of the illustration, it just feels very Bass Pro Shops. Like, doesn't feel like a sport logo to me, which, as much as I hate using that as a critique.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's some issues with just overall detail. So like, even when that fin is coming over that part of the M, the thickness of the gray, like why couldn't you just have that follow the form? It actually gets thinner right there. Why the fuck would you have that? Or like this part where the fin's over top of this part of the M, it's not consistent. It actually gets thinner and there's a little bump in it, Or why is the line around the fish not the same thickness as the line around your M?
I think those are forgivable sins for this. To me, these aren't like the fatal errors that make me not want to vote for it. You know what I mean?
They are.
If this were to win, and for whatever reason, Scott wanted me to send him notes, then I would get into those more granular things. But it's a fish.
Fish. What if you put a baseball in his mouth? Like he just caught a baseball.
What if he's impaling a baseball with his nose? I know it's not a swordfish or whatever, but
I think that's a great idea. Yeah,
because it does seem like the expression is very happy on this Marlin. Or I feel like kind of.
What'd be fun to do with this is like to give it a Brewers thing, like the vintage Brewers logo, and make the logo a fisherman with a baseball.
Oh, like the New York Islanders.
Like a
more different altogether.
Sure, but like the vintage Brewers logo, something like like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This guy, right? But just make it a fisherman.
Also, can not to segue completely because we're running out of time. Can anyone explain to me what the Tampa Bay Rays branding is now as a team?
I have to look that up.
They started as like a rave fish with a gradient, and it was like pretty fucking cool. They were the Devil Rays in the 90s, and now they're
but they're in the South, so they don't want to be called the Devil anything.
But that
You're
was
right.
cool.
It was cool, but this is like Florida, man.
But now it looks like a family restaurant. It doesn't look like
it's like fucking Ray's seafood.
Yeah,
eat 3 on Tuesday.
That's where I'm taking the family for crab legs on Thursday night. Like it's not like that Starburst shape thing is like literally their logo now.
Yeah, it looks like they pivoted from like the fish to like a ray of sunshine kind of vibe.
That's sad because the Devil Ray is a cool fish.
It really is. And it's a hard thing to make a cool silhouette in a sport logo. But I think because it's 25 years old, I think there's some charm to it.
Totally.
Yeah. No, that illustration I think is pretty sick, but it's still like that's a hard sell. But I think it's
maybe one show we can just review every Florida team's logos and rank them.
Oh, I'm down for that.
Let's do it. Okay, next episode. That's what we're gonna do. Okay, this is a fun matchup. Run out of time. Let's come on. We got to get faster about this.
Okay.
This is the Hershey Bears, which is a great name. Minor league hockey team in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Pen and Mug versus Ted Tucker.
Two of the most adorable design names too for the Hershey
Ted
Bears.
Tucker, I like it.
And
that's actually my porn name, Ted Tucker. It's got some Chicago Bears vibes to it, which I don't hate.
Also some Vancouver Grizzlies, the original Vancouver Grizzlies vibes.
Yeah.
I'm not mad. I think this is very good. I don't.
Yeah, there's just a couple of details I might futz with, but it's fun. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would stylistically give it the. Let's go back to the Duke Blue Devils logo, just for frame of reference. What if I could take this, simplify it into that? You know what I'm saying? I think I would love it.
I mean, all this separates. The fold-over symmetrical logo thing is a classic approach that I always use. And I think if you could zoom back out to both side by side, it's for that reason that I would give this honey bear my vote. I think it's left. I think there's some things I would want to do differently if it was mine, but I fucking love the honey. I love he looks rabbit.
Oh yeah.
For the honey, and it's got like a Quebec Nordiques kind of igloo arching silhouette to the whole thing that I think is very fun.
They're
both very good, but the Pen and Mug gets my vote. I
prefer Ted's color scheme. I like this. I like his more chocolatey.
I don't disagree with that.
But I think Pen and Mug. I think what he does, or she, or they, I don't know, does. Which we looked at some of the other logos, which didn't do, is he was consistent about the line weights, making them thick and making them all sort of work together as a unit, right? The outline is consistent. It's like, okay, this guy knows how to make a logo, right?
But also, it normally takes more work to get out of line with the uniform width on the line work in Illustrator, is what I always end up.
Yeah,
I mean, like that's it's not as hard as people think to get that uniform offset stroke.
No, it's not. But it's also, it's just it's very easy. But it's knowing why.
I love the tapering of the edge, specifically around the mouth, like that little, like that little part of like its fur around its jaw, the way that tapers up, and where like
this is great.
That's fucking awesome.
This is
like,
so
good. That alone would make it get my vote.
Okay, when you do this thing around the mouth, right, and it has this little overlap.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All that does is create depth. It creates motion, right? That little touch goes a long way. You know, I would definitely love to see a logo that's just the head with the trim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could put the words around it
outside of this thing after this for sure.
So speaking of depth, like I love the way they did that back leg.
Yes.
Like that's it's so simple, but it's so well done.
Yep.
You know,
Smart.
yeah.
There's just enough moves being made with this thing to indicate expression in the movement and the posture of all of it. It's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good job, Pen and Mug, whoever you are. Okay, this is an interesting matchup. For the Angel City FC. Angel City is the women's soccer team in, or at least one of them in Los Angeles. So we're Jesse Wu versus Matt Rogers. Matt, this is interesting because it's not what we typically think of as a logo. Because it's so illustrative and there's so many details put into it.
Yeah, reproducing this thing would be a bear.
Mm-hmm.
A Hershey bear?
A Hershey bear.
I've got bears on my mind.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
I think it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's more than we would typically want or expect out of a logo, right? Not to be like, okay, let's pretend that you're coming up with this idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
A feather to represent Angel City and a halo, a feather and a halo,
mm-hmm.
right? I think that's actually a kind of a cool idea. And one that I haven't really noticed anybody else using a feather as their sort of.
That's a halo.
I thought it was a ring. I thought it was like a wedding ring.
I believe it's supposed to be a halo.
I thought it was like a Lance Armstrong bracelet.
The Live Strong bracelet.
Yeah. I thought it was like a Live Strong bracelet.
Maybe.
Didn't know if that was.
But I think that's maybe that's because it's not floating.
No, the halo. The tilt of that thing makes that's a halo.
It has weight. Halos don't have weight. They should be floating.
Right.
So, but I could, if someone gave me this as an assignment, halo, feather, Angel City logo, I could. That's a concept I could definitely work with.
Is there a meaning? Is there a significance to the silhouette of this crest containing everything?
I'm gonna say there must be, because it's so.
This must be like a steeple.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of maybe it's sort of supposed to be like a churchy. Maybe the field where they play is.
There's like a sun shape, inside that container, or is that wings?
Yeah, it does look like a sun shape. I don't know what the significance is.
There's some kind of building or structure too in the Angel City Brewing logo that makes me wonder if this is this is also like that building. Yeah.
If only. I wasn't such a dick, and I actually invited these designers on to talk about their logos. Instead, we just get to guess. Yeah, what's the fun of that?
I think, again, it's a case of there's a lot of elements going on here, and I would love the chance to remix these into something that's more cohesive and is maybe 2 or 3 colors at most. The strokes on the container you don't need.
There's so many strokes.
Offset strokes on this thing. The amount of detail in the feather it's extraneous. I don't mean to tear this to pieces, but it's just this is an illustration. There's like
it's an illustration, not a logo.
I'm curious what that sun shape sort of thing is in the background. Like I would like if I could turn these layers off, I would love to be able to see what that kind of shape is that's contained within that container.
Yeah, and maybe it has something to do with. So it has significance in the building. This I think is an interesting idea. There's a couple of executional issues. Like Angel City is like in a really dark gray, but everything else is black.
I can't tell that from the screen share.
Which is just like a not checking off your P's and Q's when you're sending out a logo. But I think it's interesting. I'm curious what you guys think of this. What does this mean here? The robe.
One's longer than the other.
Yeah. What's the significance there? What's going on?
I got to believe like one side's supposed to wrap over the other. I don't honestly mind that terribly. I just think looking at it next to the other one, this one's just so much more cohesive and coherent to what it's getting across. the Angel City type treatment obviously has its issues, but you know, beyond that, I think just because not to shit on the other one, there was just some issues.
Yeah, I think this one deserved to win, but I also don't think this one doesn't have issues.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of compositional stuff here that like I would appreciate more knobs being turned to finesse.
That be as wide, I don't think, or that angel shape the angel graphic could fill it out more.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. There's just like some weird space in here that I think could be adjusted pretty easily to make this like really solid.
Yeah. So if this guy was my designer, was one of my designers on my team. This is not how I would do it. And I know we're running out of time, but I'm gonna do this real quick. Okay, so I just brought this into Illustrator so we could actually draw real fast. Right? So when this is at least my thought process. I'm going to change out the opacity there. So and tell me what you guys think of something. I wasn't planning anything. This is just what I'm thinking. Okay, so you have this shape, right? Mm-hmm. So in my head, I'm like, okay, how can I work with that shape? Maybe the wings would reflect it, and maybe her body comes down and sort of like fills out that shape. You know what I'm saying? So like you could still do these verticals in the wing, but now it's actually making a little more sense with the overall shape.
I think again by virtue of the fact that it's just so much more sewn up than what it went against.
I'm not. Yeah, no, I think it deserved to win, but I'm just, let's just academically, let's think about this for, you know what I mean? Like,
I think Billy just wanted to draw for us pants.
Yeah, Billy.
Yeah, look at my great drawing skills.
Just wanted the parts of the hair not connecting with the shape of the head is something.
You don't like that?
I mean, no, it should. No, what you did is what I would do.
Do you think it should connect?
And yeah. I like that you did it a little like side, like off-centered part.
Yeah, that could help it. But then if this thing comes down, this part just becomes robe. Like you could even like make that all pink, and then this whole thing is just knocked out of the pink on top of it.
Hey Billy, I appreciate this live Bob Ross action, but I have to get going. If we have more stuff to take a look at.
Well, you can go. Matt and I could finish up.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, you got to run.
I do have.
Okay, I think Matt, you're gonna stick around, and we're gonna look at the last few.
How many more do we have? I do have a.
Okay. Hold on.
Get to as well.
Okay, listen, we can do this in 2 weeks again and finish it up.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Yeah, let's do that,
gentlemen.
It's not a party without pants.
But I gotta go. Thanks you for your time and thanks for having me.
That's fine. Hey, listen, I got important things to do too. Okay, thanks a lot.
Redraw.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.